Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. I am your host, Tiffany Cohen, owner of Spirit and Soul Studio. And today we are talking about the things that are on everybody's mind right now, and that is habits. Okay. I have a little bit of a different view around habits, and I want to get into it with you today because right now there's so much noise, or there has been so much noise at least, around habit stacking and, new year, new you, new beginnings, like all these different things. And at the end of the day, it just comes down to creating new habits, but also letting go of habits that don't serve you. And I think that the new habits are really thrown at us so much, which is great. I'm not saying that creating new habits aren't the thing to do. I live for that. However, I do think that really the important part of it is understanding why your bad habits exist and what those habits are. I think we think of bad habits as like biting your nails and, going to bed too late, or, eating bad food at night, or whatever it might be. But we have habits that we don't even know are actually running our lives. And in order to create these good habits, we have to really unwind the bad ones. And this is what no one is talking about right now. No one's talking about this. Everyone's talking about the new things, but no one's talking about how to start making space for the new. This is all manifesting. I mean, if you really think about it, it's all manifesting. It's all energetic. And it's something that if you want to be successful at, you can't just jump into it, right? Like I spoke about, creating new intentions for, what was it, like a couple of episodes ago, and how we want to take bite-sized pieces out of it. And yes, that remains 1,000,000%, but there's so much more that comes with it. So let's get into it today. So first off, your bad habits, I want you to think about just like the ones that you can think of off the top of your head, right? And maybe like make a little list if you can. If you're not driving and you're just kind of like sitting down listening right now, maybe like press pause, get a pen and paper, and just sit down and understand what bad habits you do have. We all have them, okay? And maybe it's like going to bed too late and then you're tired in the morning. Maybe you're I don't know, eating dinner too late and then you wake up with a stomach ache in the morning. I'm making things up, but like these are things that could affect how you physically feel, right? How you physically feel. And when it comes to going to bed too late, it could actually affect how you want to start your mornings. Because to me, and I know that there are many schools of thought around this, but take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But I'm going to really highly suggest that you try to become a morning person, that you do become a morning person. Don't try, just do it. Because the mornings, there's like scientific reasoning behind why the mornings are best for you. And if you can do whatever you can to support yourself to have like, a morning that feels really good, a morning that supports all of your goals and your dreams, then you would be wise, let's say, to start becoming a morning person. And again, this basically what it comes down to is your pineal gland, which is your center for receiving information. It's really psychically, but also I find it to be like part of the brain itself, like how it functions. And I think that you are in a little bit more of a suggestible state when you are just waking up. It's like the subconscious mind is a little bit more present because you were just in a dreaming state. Your pineal gland is producing melatonin, and it's also, it was producing melatonin. Now it's producing serotonin, but you still have that leftover melatonin in your brain. And because of that, it just I feel like the mix of the melatonin and the serotonin really opens you up in a different way to receiving not only psychically, which that is proven, but I think that it helps you retain a little bit better. It makes you have a better understanding, a deeper understanding of things that you might read or whatever you're meditating on. Like your meditations are so much more heightened in the morning. So that being said, really trying to become that morning person could be great. But if you're not sleeping, you're going to bed too late, so now you're waking up late, you're not going to, that's a bad habit for you to support becoming a morning person. So you have to start making the list and seeing what you know offhand. And then also, I want you to start to see what you have your fears, your limiting beliefs, and your doubts around. Because these fears, doubts, limiting beliefs, and this is like really powerful. Okay. So like, please take this and like allow it to become yours. But all those things are habits. So when you fear something, you fear flying, that's a habit. If you fear going on camera for your business, that's a habit. All of your fears are just your habit. It's a habit that you formed over time. So understand that you did not come out of the womb fearing anything, fearing any of these things. So these are learned behaviors, and where you learn them from comes from anywhere. It could come from ancestral. It could come from, your parents. It could come from grandparents. It could come from TV shows. It could come from friends. It could come from so many different places. It could come from interactions with others that maybe they said one thing and then it just sticks with you. And now you've formed a fear or a limiting belief or a doubt around whatever it is that's blocking you. And that thing, and you protect it. You protect it, and then you actually form an identity around it. So I was just talking to someone. They were saying that they were like afraid of flying, and it was like, oh yeah, like I fear flying, and I'm like, okay, like in my mind, I didn't say it out loud because we were just chatting, but in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, but you're making that a part of who you are. Like you're making this fear part of your identity. So anything that you are making part of your identity, you have claimed it as who you are. And the fact is that you are the only person that writes that. You're the only person that says, this is who I am. And if you say, I'm not a morning person, if you say, I am not a person that eats, I'm just not a person that meditates, I'm not a person that eats healthy foods, I'm not a person that does this, then that is going to be who you are forever until you change it. Like, that's it. You're claiming it as yours. So what I have done over time is that I no longer claim these things anymore. Like I used to say, I'm not a night person. I used to say it all the time, actually. I'm not a night person. I'm not a night person. And the fact is that I know when I work better, there is a difference in saying I work better in the morning, rather than I work better at night. Right? Like there's a difference in saying I'm not a night person. That's like literally taking everything off the table and saying like, I just don't function at night. And I used to do that. And guess what? I used to not function at night. I used to never be good at night. And now I understand that my strength lies in my morning work or whatever I'm doing in the morning. But also if I need to do something at night, that I can do it fine. But I don't have to say like, oh, I don't have to drag and be like, oh, I just don't want to do it because I'm not a night person. I'm a morning person. And I don't do that anymore. And because of that, I can actually become extremely adaptable and do whatever I need to do whenever I need to do it instead of fighting against myself. And that's what I was doing for a long time. So as I'm saying this to you right now, I know that you at home are saying, but I'm just not a morning person. But if you keep saying it, it will be true and you continue to claim it. If you want to be a morning person, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. If you want to do anything, if you want to manifest anything, you have to have You have to have sacrifices that you're willing to make. You have to be a willing participant in it. And the sacrifice may be just changing up how you do your nights. Your nighttime thing. Maybe you have a couple glasses of wine at night. Maybe you go to bed at 11 o'clock at night. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you just don't sleep well and you're not trying to do anything to get some sleep support. Or maybe you have a massive running mind that does not stop and that keeps you from falling asleep, and you do nothing about it because you say, this is who I am. My mind just runs. You would be surprised. I have so many people that come in and just say, well, that's me. I just have a running mind. No, you have a running mind because you're claiming that you have a running mind. And that is what your brain and what your energy field thinks you want, even if you don't want it. That's something I used to do too. I used to have like thoughts that, would just go and go and go until I realized that I can control my own mind. I control my thoughts. And if I have that ability and that capacity, then I know that I can unwind it and not be that person anymore. That I don't have to continue with these thoughts. I don't have to be that person. So remember, you get to make that decision. You get to say, I have a running mind. I don't have a running mind. Actually, you know what? My mind, I don't have to attach to these thoughts anymore. I don't have to become a part of it. I can witness them until I don't even see them anymore. And that is the beauty of realizing that you have the power, that you create your reality and you create who you are, right? And now that you know that, things are limitless for you. Things are limitless for you, but you have to call yourself out on what is acceptable for you and what's not acceptable. So I really started to do this. And when I started to do that, it really started to shift my life. It started to shift how much I got done during the day, and who I am, right? Like that was a big thing too, like who I'm not. Like I'm not going to be a person that, talks down to myself. I'm not going to be a person that, I don't know. I'm not going to be a person that gives into sleep all the time. Like just because I just want to sleep in a little longer. Oh, hit the snooze, hit the snooze. Don't get me wrong. I will snooze. Okay. But I have bigger goals in mind. So that will get my butt out of bed every day. And I remind myself of that when I'm feeling like I want to hit the snooze, which, let's be real, doesn't do anything for you. It's prolonging the inevitable. Then I have these bigger goals that I know I have to get my butt up for. So that's what I'm doing. Right. So I'm not claiming those things and I'm not allowing it. So if you want to start building better habits, first start to unwind the ones that don't serve you and start to recognize them and understand them. Okay. So that is going to be step one. And then when it comes to building the new habits, make sure that you are doing them not all at once, that you are doing them in bite-sized pieces. Because when you take on everything all at once, and this is proven, look at like the diet industry, when you do things all at once, rapidly, just completely cut everything, you're working purely on willpower. And the fact is that willpower takes so much energy and effort from you. And when you have one weak moment, you're in trouble. So what you do is start to build habits in bite-sized pieces. Okay. And the way that you start to do that is not take everything on at once, but choose one thing, or you can choose one small thing from different habits. So maybe let's say a health journey is on, it is something that you really want to work on. So you want to exercise and you want to, start eating right and you want to start doing all those things. Well, don't start all at once. And I know that might sound like counterintuitive, but it is true. If you take on working out and you take on your eating all at once, you're not going to keep it up. I'm just going to say, you're not going to keep it up. That's why like Eric Edmeades, who was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, he's the founder of WildFit. WildFit is one of the most incredible nutrition programs. It's not a diet at all. It teaches you just what's good for your body, how to eat. And the way that they do it is doing everything step by step, piece by piece, bite by bite, because in doing so, it creates lasting changes. So the same thing goes for any habit, anything that you want to take on. You can't take on everything at once. So first start with the most important thing, which is the nutrition. Because when you fall off or if you fall off the working out, if that's always been a thing for you, that's always been a thing for me. I can keep nutrition going, but for me, working out has been something that I flip flop in between. I make it a part of my daily routine and then I fall off and I know exactly why. Something I need to work on is time and priority. I don't make working out a priority, but I'll always make like my nutrition. I try to make that a priority more than anything else. So that's something I'm working on in 2025 is daily movement. But the working out part seems to be the part that falls off the most for a lot of people. And if you take on everything at one time, it's just not going to happen. So first start by creating the nutrition, like really releasing whatever it is you want to release through your body, and working on the nutrition first. And then when you've got that under control, then you start taking on more movement. So maybe you're doing a little bit of movement. Maybe you're walking, but not going hard, not going crazy with it, right? And then also meet yourself where you're at. Like, there have been times, especially like with the working out, right? Where like even today I did this. I worked out today and I was like, oh, I used to be able to do this. I can't believe I can't do this anymore. And I started to hear the voice playing out in my mind telling me that like, you suck. You didn't keep this up. And now look at you, you're weak. And I started to hear that. And then I immediately stopped and said, okay, wait a second. That is not fair. I'm meeting myself exactly where I'm at. I'm not going to half-ass it. I'm going to give it my all, but I'm not going to judge where my all is right now because that's not fair. And all that's going to do is kick you off of your good habit more quickly. So let's not do that anymore. Meet yourself where you're at. Don't push yourself so hard. And also, don't let yourself off the hook either. So you want to create a good habit, you cannot let yourself off the hook. I had a friend of mine that let herself off the hook all the time. Oh, I was just tired today. Oh, my body needed a rest. Oh, da 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 da. You were working out for 4 days. You know what I mean? Like, no, you have to say, all right, body, you might need a rest from the hard stuff, but we're still moving. You might need this, but we're going to do this and create something that still continues the habit because doing anything for 30 days makes it a habit. Okay. But doing something for 90 days really starts to make it become part of who you are. All right. And that's what you want these things to become. You don't want to have to think about your habits anymore. Just like you don't think about your bad habits, you don't want to think about your good habits. You just want to do them because that is what you do. It has become part of who you are. And you want to claim that. That's what you want to claim as part of who you are at your core. Like for me, meditation is something that I do every single day. Every day. It is a part of who I am. It is a non-negotiable, absolute non-negotiable for me. So knowing that these things are non-negotiables, I don't even have to think about it anymore. I don't. Just like you don't think about getting up and having a cup of coffee anymore because that's your non-negotiable. That's your habit, right? So really start to now build into that your good habits, the ones that you're building now, just become a part of your everyday, a part of who you are. And when you start to do that, you'll see that these bad habits are starting to slip and also they're easier to let go of. And your good habits now have taken the place of anything that was there before. And that's what I want to see for you. But you have to do them in bite-sized pieces, okay? Don't just jump right in to changing everything about yourself. That is too much to take on, okay? All right. So I cannot wait to see what good habits you start to create. And also, I can't wait to hear from you. What are the habits that you didn't even realize you had that were bad habits? So, those bad habits, like I mentioned before, like fear, like your different doubts and how you operate with them. And then I want to hear the things that you started to do to shift them. All right. I can't wait to hear these things. I am so excited to support you this upcoming year. And make sure that you are DMing us on Instagram at Spirit and Soul Studio and let us know all the things. Can't wait to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.